What's up, guys? Give it a minute. I'm about to shoot the invite over to Eric. There we go.
Hey, what's going on, bud?
What's up, Eric?
What's
What's going on, brother?
going on, Dave? How are you?
Same old. Just got back from Cayuga.
Gotcha. How was
Yeah,
it?
it's got to pay some bills. It's got to pay some bills real quick. This episode is brought to you by ROKFORM. Make sure you guys check them out, rockform.com. Use code DMiller25, get 25% off your order. Check out the twist lock mount and the MagSafe twist lock phone case. That's the ultimate deal. It was blowing 25 miles per hour in Cayuga yesterday. Phone's right there. Didn't budge, didn't break off, didn't fall off, nothing. It just takes a beating on these bass boats we got. So, guys, make sure you check them out. So, yeah, let's get into it. Eric, got back from Cayuga. It was tough, but
The way it goes sometimes. Yeah. How'd you end up over there?
I'm like 36. I only got 4. I missed a couple on the hook set. Like, as I had. Like, if the tournament was Friday, I would have been a different turnout. But I don't know, the weather, the temperature dropped, the water temp dropped a lot, and then my spots didn't really start seeing fish until 11:30ish. So I was like kind of panicking, but I don't know the place to make the adjustments. I don't know how they move and relocate there and adjust, because like the whole top third of the lake is like one giant flat. And I was going for greenfish, so I wasn't even going to waste my time with brownfish, because they're there one day and gone the next.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I don't fish up north as much as I would like to, but definitely want to get my hands up there and play around up there for sure. Hopefully we can go up there this next year.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm a fan of Oneida. Everybody that's been watching this, me and a few of the guys like Great Buck, and I was talking with Lane about it. I love Oneida. It's a fantastic fishery. I'd rather be there than Cayuga, to be honest with you.
No kidding. Yeah, I fished it once, quite a few years back in the open. It was definitely, they got some good smallies in there for sure. The place is fun to fish.
Yeah, man. It's fun too, because like with Oneida, you could do anything. Like if you want to go flip, you go flip. You want to go frog, you can frog.
Right.
I think Ishmael Rowe got a win there, frogging, and then you could go for smallmouth. And there's like videos from like 25 years ago, like Ike and Ellie catching big smallmouth there. You know, it's like it's been a factory for a long time.
Yeah, it has. You can do plenty of options to fish up there. I mean, you can fish your strengths up there for sure.
Yeah. The one thing with Cayuga and Oneida, for everybody who's ever been to either of those fisheries, they did a terrible job marking hazards.
No.
There's these little, it's like little bowling pins that they use to like mark reefs and shoals and hazard rock areas.
Can't see them until it's too late.
Yeah. There's a few spots, especially when it's blowing.
Yeah.
If it's blowing, you got, just like a 1 to 2 footers, those pins disappear.
Yeah.
So how did your season go this year? You placed 21st overall in AOI?
Yeah, I finished up 21st in points, 5th rookie of the year. So it was an awesome season for me, man. I had a great time traveling with Great Buck, Jared McMillan, great guys. Learned a lot from those hammers for sure. It was intimidating at first. I mean, I've never fished any of those lakes this whole year. I mean, that's the first time I've been to all those lakes. So besides Okeechobee, of course, I fished that one quite a few times. But all the other lakes, I mean, you get 3 days of practice, so it can definitely get in your head at first. But luckily, we pretty much followed the shallow bite, the spawn and stuff. So you knew pretty much to go shallow in every tournament. So that helped me out big time. It weeded out all the deep stuff that I needed to go try. So I just kept my head down, and luckily I found fish pretty much in every tournament, halfway decent in practice and everything. So I had a lot of confidence going into some of these tournaments. But there was a couple of stinkers that I had, but that's the way it goes, especially if you've never been here and weather changes and totally throw off your bite, and you don't really have too much to go off of. So, but it was a great year, and I had a blast.
My guest the other day, Reese, he was fishing the opens this year, and we were talking about it in the podcast that if kind of like if you go to a lake for the first time and maybe your co catches a couple good ones, but you don't do too swift,
right,
at least you could come back and be like, all right, well, I went with my gut from my practice. If you look at the total, like, okay, my co got a couple fives, I got like 1 5, but a bunch of rats or something. Like, all right, I knew I kind of made the right decisions because I was around the right fish.
Right. Yeah,
So like a different way of looking at it.
Right. That definitely helps you out. The invitationals, you ain't got no co-anglers, nothing like that to help you out, or you can't really practice with anybody. You got to do it all your own. So, I mean, if you don't find any fish and within a couple of days, man, it can be a grind out there for sure.
Yeah, it's sometimes like, especially tidal fisheries, if the practice doesn't go swift and you're kind of like, all right, I just got to go in there and just go fishing. Sometimes those could be your best days of fishing.
Yeah, you got that right. I've definitely had really good days when I've just had nothing in practice and just went out fishing and stumbled on something. And just put your head down and grind it out.
Steve asked me if I'm in the Waffle House parking lot. No. I wish I was. I could go.
I know, right? I could use some grub right now.
Sunday at 7 o'clock.
Right, yeah. That was like Potomac River, man, that we were just talking a little while ago. It was a real fun place, but you never know in one of those tidal fisheries. I mean, I had two decent days in practice, and one day I don't even think I caught a limit. So you could go out there and totally zero. Like quite a few guys didn't do all that great out there because it messed them up on the tide. I tried to get that out of my head and just I found a nice line of milfoil that I just stuck a chatterbait in my hand and went up and down the stretch and caught a good one every day. So it definitely helped me out, and there was quite a few fish down there. So I was able to get a limit down there pretty quick and then just grind it out and catch some decent ones.
Yeah, chatterbait's a staple down there.
Yeah.
Is there any special trailer you were using, or?
I was using the missile baits. It's called Shockwave from Missile Baits. It was like I believe it's 4.25 inch. It's like a swim bait. It was just sticking it on there. Green pumpkin, and there's the bluegill were spawning around areas real shallow that you couldn't really get to until they would come out when it got real low tide, and then you could just pick them apart.
Gotcha.
With that chatterbait, so yeah, it was fun. I love chatterbait fishing, man. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I was real happy to keep that thing in my bait all day long.
What rod do you use for chatterbait?
I use a 7-foot medium heavy. Nothing crazy because it gives me enough. It's got a fast tip on it, so you can rip it out of the grass a lot easier. I've used the long ones, the 7.3, 7.4 rods, like almost glass rods, and they're almost like a crankbait rod, but you can't rip it. You don't have that snap to get it out of that grass as good as you want it to. I mean, I pop it out of there and let it fall, rip it out of there again, and usually it's a reaction bite, and they'll just smoke it, and then it's got enough load to crack them when you need to.
My thing, I'm Team Dobbins. I run the Champion 734 for the past like 10 years. So it's a 7'3", heavy, fast.
Right.
A lot of guys will say Dobbins are like underpowered with their labeling, so it would be comparable to other brands,
like
medium heavy.
Right.
But I love the rod. It's like a Swiss Army knife from the whole Dobbins lineup. But my problem is I drop fish with it, and a lot of guys will say it's like nature of the beast with the running the chatterbait, but it's like it's never like in practice. I can sit there and try to shake one off or
Oh,
something,
of
but like,
course.
see, I can't lose it. But in the tournament, it's like you do everything right, and he's coming off at the
Just
boat
don't-
or something,
Right.
and it's a big one.
Uh,
But I run 15-pound fluorocarbon. I try to stick with fluoro for chatterbait,
same.
and I just like it better, like than using braid or some guys like mono,
Right.
like Matt Robertson or somebody. But this year I started dabbling with a glass rod,
Okay.
and I don't know how I feel about it. I like it. I like the rod. The rod's nice. It feels kind of like a graphite rod. It has like a good balance to it, but I can't. I still drop the fish on it, so I'm like, I don't know if it's the rod. It's definitely the operator.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times they just get like skin hooked or something. They just come up behind it and try to get it, and they just get skin hooked, and it's just bound to happen every once in a while. You're gonna miss fish unless they just eat it really good. I mean, some of those days you can't go without losing one. I mean, I've had days where it's just they eat it so good, it's like halfway down their throat almost every time. But then you have the days where you miss a bunch of fish, and you'll catch one, and it'll be like barely skin hooked or something. It's just, I think it's just the way they eat that chatterbait for some reason. They either eat it really good or they barely get it. But like you were saying with that, I like using the flimsier rod in open water or something with less grass around, so you get that nice load to it. But most of the time I use 7-foot heavy or medium heavy with a 17-pound fluorocarbon P line.
Yeah, it's like we're cranking. I love cranking. I like 5, 6, 8XD all day.
Yeah.
I'll throw crankbaits whenever I have the opportunity, and I
Yep.
never drop fish on a crankbait. It's very rare. Like something real strange has to happen, like for me to lose a fish on a crankbait. Because they like if they're on a crankbait, they're eating it.
Oh yeah.
Especially the bigger fish.
Right. Exactly.
So I understand like having a more parabolic bend helping keep the fish pinned.
Right.
But with the chatterbait, it's like maybe you didn't get a good enough hook set because the rod is more limber. There's so many variables.
Yeah, that's why I like that fast tip, so you can whip it pretty good and try to get it stuck. So
yeah. So I got a question for you. What this year you fished a whole bunch of lakes you never fished before, or fisheries. Is there any fishery? Do you guys have the schedule for next year yet?
No, not yet. No.
All right. So are there any fisheries that you haven't fished yet that are like on a bucket list for you?
Yeah, St. Lawrence River, man. I mean, that's one of the places I haven't been to. I've been to Champlain, Oneida. We were just up in Wisconsin this year fishing the Mississippi River up there, but we never went to any of those big smallmouth places. And I really wanted to go this year, but it never worked out. So I mean, they just didn't have a tournament up there. So hopefully this year, I'm pretty sure we might be going to Champlain this year, but I'm not sure about anything else. I just got a little word from somebody that we might be going to Champlain this year. So, but that's the play. I've been there before in the Opens a couple years back, and that place is blast. Like the elites are there right now, and they're smashing on them like always. So that place is pretty fun. And that's like another place you can go throw a frog, you can go flip, you can go out in 30, 40 foot of water and catch smallies. Or last time I was there, I was catching them on top water. So it was a blast. I just never had any big ones, but it was a blast catching them on top water.
Yeah, we had 3 back-to-back this year on Champlain. We had the Toyota and then 2 BFLs back-to-back.
No kidding.
And I had some technical difficulties with the boat for each event, pretty much. Jack plate 1, trim motor another, pin backed out in the trim.
Oh, yeah.
It's just been kind of a rough deal for me. But even with the pin backing out and everything with this last one, still managed to come in with a decent bag and everything and get the points I needed.
Yeah, it makes it feel a lot better.
Yeah. But no, I love Champlain. Champlain's great. I really like fishing Champlain in the fall, to be honest. Like that's my favorite time to fish it because that's when I think the flipping bite really picks up.
Yeah,
because like you could flip year round pretty much on Champlain, like flip wood or flip grass or whatever, and just follow the Mother Nature around. But the fall, like I've had really good days, like just going up there to fun fish because I'm here in Connecticut, so
Okay.
it's only a few hours,
That far.
few hour drive for me. We'll
Gotcha.
take just a trip up on the weekend type of
There
thing
you go.
in like September, October or something. But that's a fantastic fishery. So you're looking forward to the St. Lawrence. You could jump into BFL with us if you want to make the drive.
Yeah, right. When's that? Is that one on the St. Lawrence again, or?
Yeah, the final one of the Northeast division is September 8th, 9th.
Okay.
It's like
yeah,
the
okay.
week after Labor Day.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking about jumping in the super. We have a super tournament BFL down here on the St. Johns River up in Palaca, and then I was actually thinking about maybe jumping in that last Toyota Series on the Potomac. So we'll see what happens. See where it lines up. I think they're pretty close, so I'd have to fish the BFL, and I think I'd leave straight from there and go fish that Toyota Series, and I think I'd only have like a day or two of practice. So I don't know if it's gonna work out. So we'll see what happens.
Making me want to jump back into it.
Right, I know, man. I do. Yeah, I do. I like throwing that chatterbait. Like I said, man, breaking that Potomac River was fun. I had a blast. But like I said, I can see if you missed that tide different, then it'd be a totally different story. So I just lucked out, and there were some good fish down there where I was fishing. So, but yeah, man, I'd really love to go fish one of those Great Lakes up there or the St. Lawrence River, just to catch some big old smallies. It seems like a blast.
Yeah, I have like buddies we argue about this because I'm like I hate the St. Lawrence River, but I love launching out of Clayton, like launching out of Messina, just because it's like I don't know, it's everything I've ever found in Messina or Waddington hasn't been consistent. It doesn't repeat itself in the tournament. You could like look at the weights from last year. Like half the field was zeroed in the BFL last year. Like you're on the greatest fishery on planet Earth, and half the field zeroed. Something's not right here. Like it's not consistent up there.
Exactly.
So I don't like it for the fact that I pretty much already got in my head that I'm making the run. As far
that's
as
what I was about to say. I know a few guys that went 180-mile round trip in one day. I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of running for sure. One day, better be on them.
I did that last year. Last year in the Bassmaster Regional, I fished that. This year is the last year with the state team, but last year. Yeah, the second to last year of having the state teams because they did away with that with bass. Right. So we went up there and I made the run. I just like a lot of my spots. It was a bed tournament, and it was 4-fish limit. A lot of the areas I had, they moved off the beds, and it was every time I went down there to practice, I was trying to find like a contingency plan near like A Bay and a little bit closer, just so I don't have to make the run.
For sure.
If things don't work out, and did decent day one, whatever, but it was like day two, I was like, I'm just staying local. Like there's no point in burning the fuel. I don't have the weight to
time to fish around it. Right. Yeah. Try to figure something out around the close.
Yeah, but this tournament coming up, I'm already got it in my head. I'm going to the Cape, so
right.
I'm like, there's no point. It's like you might as well just be throwing my money away at that point, just not.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very true. If you don't make that run, that's pretty much what you're doing. Apparently, I've never been, but I've heard a lot of stories. If you don't make that run, you're fishing for the last place, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. It's unfortunate too because there are big fish in the Waddington Messina area. I've caught big fish, but they don't pattern the same.
Gotcha.
They're doing those drifts. The current's faster. They just move, and they're there one day, gone the next.
Right.
And there's a lot of the good drifts up there too. I've noticed guides drifting those drifts. So if you find something like, oh, I'm on something, the guide boat done hit it like 15 times that day.
Right.
Because you get on a big motor, you drive up, drift it, get on a big motor, drive up, drift it again, and just over and over again. And I don't like fishing like that. So that's why I say I don't like St. Lawrence River. But I like launching out Clayton where I have options. I could do a slower drift. I could go on deep water. I could run the cans. I can go out to the lake. I could hit galoos.
Right. That's what a
See,
lot of
guys, what do they eat down that way? Down there, Clayton? I don't know. It's mainly drop shot, Carolina rig deal. They'll hit the spy baits, jerk baits. I've caught fish doing kitex, swim baits. One of my buddies, basically just like typical smallmouth stuff.
yeah. A lot of Carolina rigging too, apparently up there.
Yeah,
Dragon.
that's
Dragon
the deal too in the current.
right.
You can keep it down with the heavier weights.
Yep.
You're welcome, Steve. Yeah, the Clayton's nice. I like launching out of Clayton, but I don't know why MLF keeps launching us out of Messina. It's
you can't even like go to the lake, isn't it cut off? A lot
yeah,
of
it
the times?
cuts off at the island. Yeah, it's like
Right,
a point. It's like a dock on the island, and then like a certain spot on the mainland, and that so you can't even like go to like the outside of the island.
No kidding, really. Yeah, I know. I had a couple of buddies leave Mississippi River and drove over for that Toyota series, and they were there for like I think 10, 11 days. They went to the lake for practice to go have fun out there, and they had like 25 pounds within a couple hours. I mean, they said it was ridiculous out there. I mean, seems like they're that dumb out there. You just pull up to them and just start smashing on them. But it's totally different in that river, apparently.
The one thing too I've been out there by Galoos when it starts blowing.
No.
That place gets big fast.
No,
like it picks up like you won't even have an opportunity to think. Like it's just instant 6-footers. It could get really sketchy.
Yeah.
You should be in the boat with Eric when he's throwing a chatterbait straight magician. Eric, when you come up to the Potomac for the Toyota, I'm gonna have to drive down there, and then we're gonna have to practice together.
Yeah, man, come on down. Anytime you want to make a trip down here, let me know, man. I'm always down to go out. We fished a little local derby out here last Sunday, and we had 24 plus pounds all on a chatterbait. Man, it was a blast. Caught one almost 9 pounds first fish, and then we had one little dinker that we couldn't get rid of all day. I mean, we had four good ones, but they were all smoking chatterbaits, freaking down their gullet. But awesome. Yeah, if I can stick that thing in my hand all day, I won't be disappointed. I can tell you that much.
I hear you. So we know you like throwing the chatterbait, but tournament-wise, this whole season, you got a good finish in the AOY standings. What was like your go-to technique this year?
I'd say chatterbait. I stuck a chatterbait pretty much in my hand most of these tournaments. Yeah, even though I was fishing rocks. I mean, like Lake of the Ozarks, I was catching them up there on it, and we went to Oklahoma, Eufaula, which a lot of people haven't even really heard of, and I didn't either until we went there. So I thought it was going to be Alabama, and I was like, wait a second, Oklahoma. I was like, I got to do some research on this one. But like I said, they were all pretty much shallow pre-spawn, post-spawn. So I tried to figure something out with a chatterbait most of the time. But that topwater and wacky rig probably were my 3 main baits that I threw all year. So it definitely, you just had to switch up colors at different lakes. Green pumpkin, Lake of the Ozarks, and white at the Eufaula, Oklahoma one. But other than that, man, it was a blast. There's a couple different places that we fished. Clark's Hill, that was a pretty fun place. I finished up, I believe, in the top 30 up there, and that place has so many fish in it. It's ridiculous. I mean, everybody was catching. You catch 30, 40 fish a day there. It was pretty fun. And I'm sure we hit it at the right time. I think they were all pre-spawn, so they were all moving up. So I'm sure it made it a lot easier. We didn't have to go offshore and figure that whole deal out, because I'm sure it can be a lot tougher that time.
Yeah,
But
my thing this year I'm kind of like all over the place because I'm having a pretty rough year. But for the past couple years, one of my go-to techniques has been the freaking Mojo rig, the finesse Carolina rig.
right.
I hate finesse fishing,
Yeah.
and it just seems to be like a deal where it's like I could kind of power fish it, go up a little bit heavier in line where I can horse them, and still like instead of like using a swivel and stuff, I just use a bobber stop for the weight, and then just so I can adjust the length of the leader on the fly. So if I want to come up and over the grass, and that's been a pretty cool technique that I've like come to really like and utilize for all sorts of situations the past couple of years.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's a technique I don't really see a lot of guys talk about, and that's why I keep bringing it up. Like these things, like newer fishermen, kids, the youth anglers, the guys just starting out to fish. See this video, give them some ideas of stuff to try.
Oh, for sure, man. It's they'll definitely them younger kids will you see all these younger tournaments and everything, and they'll crack them, man. They got some skills coming out here in the next near future. They will catch the crap out of them. I mean, there was records caught down here on Harris Chain, like the college series and stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing how good they are these days with the electronics and everything, trying to find fish. But yeah, I just like chatterbait because I cover water and try to locate fish, and then if I find some fish, I can slow it down if I need to. But that definitely helped me through the year for sure, man.
Yeah, that's probably why I like cranking so much, because I'm constantly doing something.
Yeah.
Actually,
right.
Go back to the chatterbait thing about losing fish. One of my buddies here in Connecticut, who's a local hammer, he uses a 5-to-1 reel for chatterbaits. And I never thought about that, because I use a 7-to-1 because I'd rather slow down and really get a feel for the blades kicking. And then if I need to like pick up on the fish, he's charging the boat, I could pick up the extra line without going to an extreme like an 8-to-1 or a 10-to-1 or something. Like 7-to-1 is pretty much like a standard size or a standard ratio. But when he was like 5-to-1, yeah, I swear by I have an old Daiwa Crazy Crankers, a 4.9, and I have a bunch of 5.0-to-1 reels, assortment basically for cranking. But that's something to think about too with the chatterbait. I don't know. Have you ever tried experimenting with a slower gear ratio?
No, I usually actually use the high speed, like an 8 to almost 8.3-to-1 actually, because I don't reel it most of the time. If I can reel it, then yeah, I'll rip it through grass. But I like to hop my chatterbaits, like almost like a hopping a jig kind of. I throw it out there, I let it sink down on the bottom, and I'll yo-yo it off the bottom. And when they hit it, when it's falling back down, you got to catch up to them real quick. So you got to reel, you got to burn up that line. And using that faster reel definitely helps out. And if I want to slow it down, I can always slow my retrieve down because I use that when I'm hopping it or I'm just reeling it, like Potomac River. I was just creeping it through the grass, and when I get stuck in it, I pop it loose, and they usually ambush it and just nail it. So, but yeah, I usually stick with a pretty high ratio. I'd say 8.3-to-1 almost.
That's interesting.
But, it makes sense using that real. What you said, 5.1, I believe. It's like what I use when I'm cranking. When I'm cranking, like when it's really cold outside, and you just sit there and grind it down on the bottom. But yeah, I can see that if bass are being lethargic, they'd definitely get the bait. It wouldn't go by them that fast. That's for sure.
You have to be like a pencil sharpener in elementary school.
Exactly.
Just to get it to move like that much.
Right. Yeah. They'll definitely get a good look at it.
Yeah. They're like, I don't know. I don't like the trailer. And turn away.
Right. I probably see that more in like dirtier water or something like that. But clear water, you want to try to get it going pretty quick so they don't get too good of a look at it.
See, me, I use, like, with it's kind of like the same bait. It's like the jig. It's like the adjustable version of a lipless.
Right.
Like kind of like if you think about it, it has a vibration action. You rip it through grass. You can yo-yo it, and I've had a lot of success yo-yoing a lipless through grass. Like when it's only I don't like I kind of abandon the lipless when it's when the grass is really up and you don't have that much space. I may alt for like a -1 or something.
Right.
But the when the grass is only like a foot off the bottom, you're in like 2-3 feet of water. I'll yo-yo the hell out of a lipless crankbait.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
I wouldn't think to do that as much with the chatterbait. But this guy's giving you guys some knowledge right here, so make sure you're paying attention.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of people don't do it. I've seen a lot of people that haven't figured that out yet, and it's one of my go-to staples, man. I'll tell you what, you can catch some big fish doing it. You don't need grass all the time either. You can go out there on shell and just go out there and start putting a chatterbait around. They'll promise you that.
That's a good deal too. Is up here, we a staple like my home lake is Candlewood in Connecticut. It's like a pretty well-known lake. The fall, the blade bait bite kicks off.
No.
Have you ever messed with blade baits before?
I have. I've thrown it up there in Tennessee and stuff like that when it's a little cooler outside.
Yeah, those smallmouth love those things. It's like Tic Tacs to smallmouth.
Right. Yeah, you can do the same thing with those too. Yo them and reel them real quick.
Flutter them and do all different things.
Right.
It's kind of like a lot of these baits. It's kind of like there's no wrong way to do anything. It's kind of like experiment and just see what the fish are more attracted to at that point in time.
Right.
Because you could do a technique like work a bait, whether it's a jig or in this case a lipless or a chatterbait or something like that, or a blade bait. You could work it how you think you're supposed to work it, and the fish don't want nothing to do with it. They don't see 100 people pass by them doing the same thing. They know what it is.
Right.
I think they know what it is. But then you go back and you do something a little bit different.
Right. A little different
technique. Like, okay, what did I just do? And then recreate that. And that's usually when you get onto them and be like, okay, this is what I got to do. And then you end up putting them in the boat.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I actually found that technique up by accident up there at Seminole. And I threw out there and I was doing something. I turned around and was doing something and my bait was falling down and I hit the bottom and all of a sudden it was like, dong, freaking. I caught one. I was like, that was pretty weird. I threw it back out there and just let it sink down, caught another one. And then I was like, let me try to reel it in. I reeled it in, nothing, and threw it back out there, let it sink down, and caught another one. It was pretty wild. And I brought that down to Harris Chain and Toho, Kissimmee, all the lakes I go to. So it's definitely keyed me onto it. And you can catch some big ones doing it, definitely.
Being from Florida, do you is flipping one of your main deals? Like, is that something you love doing, or is it something like you'd rather be doing something else?
Yeah, I'd rather be throwing a chatterbait or a crankbait for sure. I mean, it's hard for me to put that down, man. I tell you what, I fish with it probably 90% of the time I'm fishing, to tell you the truth. But flipping, I mean, springtime when they're down here spawning, I'm all for the flipping. But when it's pre-spawn or post-spawn or stuff like that, man, I'm throwing that chatterbait mostly. Chatterbait, crankbait, and lipless crankbait. Those baits right there, just to get that reaction bite. I just like that bite a lot more better. I mean, flipping, I love flipping. I mean, I've had some really good tournaments flipping. It's just a certain time of year, that's when I go to it. Usually when they're up shallow or spawning, I can really pick them apart. I just finished second place in the Toyota Series down here on Harris flipping, but they were down here spawning, so I mean it made things a lot easier for me. But blind flipping is what I like doing. I don't really like sight fishing as much. If I can find an area I'll find something in practice where I can pick it apart and not look at them, just flipping reeds or grass or pads even. I'd much rather do that.
Up here locally, a lot of the lakes, they're real deep. So you'll have like just an edge going around the lake,
Yeah, you got
basically, and all the
in
islands,
lane cut
etc. So
over.
yeah, so you'll have like basically like from front to back of the weeds, from like the inside weed line to outside weed line is, anywhere from 15 to 5 feet to 3 feet thick. And then it goes from like 0 feet of water, 1650, so you have like a little work area.
Oh yeah.
I could just pull up to a weed line and just for hours, for miles. I have no problem flipping. I love flipping.
Yeah. See,
But it never.
I'd flip more and more down here if they would let the hydrilla grow down here. I mean, every time that it gets topped out down here, they kill it or spray it or so. I mean, it's nothing like it used to be down here. I mean, like Okeechobee used to be just, I remember running through lanes of hydrilla and you can just pull up there and just flip hydrilla all day. Harris has had a bunch of it in it the last quite a few years, but it hasn't. Every time it comes back, they just spray it and it just pretty much kills it off and gets to the point where you can't even flip it anymore because it's not topped out. They don't even let it get topped out for the most part.
Joe Broccoli, we're just talking, just talking fishing stuff about our seasons and what we got going on and baits and all types of stuff. Just making it entertaining.
Having fun, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. But never mind. I'm guessing flipping and pitching. No, we're gonna talk more about flipping and pitching. No, but here we have that problem on a couple lakes in Connecticut where they spray it, and then everything's dead. And then Candlewood, the homeowners on the lake were actually against spraying for a change,
right?
But then they were supposed to put in like 300 carp, and they ended up putting in 7,000. So there's not a strand of grass on the whole lake. You could drag.
They'll suck up every piece of grass you got in that lake.
Gone. There's nothing, and it's like now the water went from being like 3 or 4 foot visibility to pea soup.
Right.
And then Cayuga yesterday, it's like there were spots where I had grass patches from years past that I could frog or something or mat, gone, desolate. There's nothing on the bottom. It's completely gone, barren. It's a shame. I've talked about it briefly in my post, and anybody like watching, if you have a home body of water, contact your local bass clubs, the lake associations, see what you could do on what you can do at a lower level to try to like bring the attention to your legislators to get this to end, because it's not good for you're talking chemicals 10,000 times stronger than Roundup, and then you got people's kids swimming in it, you got pets swimming in it.
Right.
Wildlife, like, it's so bad for the environment, yet they keep doing it.
I think it's just a little thing for them to get some money going in and just wasting it. I mean, Okeechobee's, terrible right now. I mean, I just saw pictures of it not too long ago where there's like this green slime all over the surface of the lake. I mean, they want to keep it high so the grass won't grow anymore. But yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I know a bunch of people that go to these meetings all the time, and it really does nothing. They said it's a waste of time because they already have the idea in their head what they're going to do, and it's no change in their minds. Whatever you want to do, you can go there and say what you have to say, but like I said, they've already got their mind made up, and they know what they're going to do anyway. So it's a shame that they're going to ruin a bunch of these lakes that have been around for years and years, and that's just the way it goes, apparently. I mean, it stinks, but gotta figure out something else to do, I guess. I mean, that's why I try to stick around, find structure, shell beds, brush piles, stuff like that, because we just don't really have the grass that we used to have all the time.
It'd be great. Maybe I should try to get Mark Menendez on here discuss that. Because he's like really involved. He's very knowledgeable on the topic. Paul Mueller, buddy of mine, he on the Elite Series, he helped me a lot the past couple of years. I had a petition going. I got like 12,000 signatures or something. We had like 3,000 on change.org, and then from all the tackle shops having it posted up, we got a lot of signatures. And then I ended up bringing the senator on the boat and showed him like the devastation, like the dead wildlife, the dead fish, like the whole nine.
Right.
And the our DEP up here is turn a blind eye to it is ridiculous. And the senator I took out, unfortunately didn't get reelected. So the guy that took over for him, that I thought would have hoped that he would have been interested. He just didn't want to know nothing about it. He was like, nah, that's like, you guys are supposed to be like for the environment and stuff and climate change, but you're dumping thousands of gallons of chemical into the water to kill everything. Like,
terrible.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. They're always like, oh, we're spraying the invasive species, but they'll go out there and spray whatever they can to spray. I mean, it's pretty bad. But I don't.
What happens is you kill the weeds, then you get the blue-green algae, what you were just talking about, the slime.
Right.
That's cyanobacteria. That's fatal to wildlife. It's fatal to everything. So even it's like a two-stage approach too, because the fish they'll be like, oh, well, the bass are okay, but then a crane eats the bass, a baby bass that was exposed to it. Now the crane's going to die because he just ingested it. It's the circle of life is going on too. The turtles, we've seen that when I took the senator out, there was dead turtles, dead weasels on the shoreline. Like, it was bad. The whole thing. I posted a bunch of pictures of it over the past couple of years, but it's so bad.
Yeah.
So on a brighter note, try to change the topic so it's not depressing.
Exactly. I'm talking about.
So next year you're going to do the invitationals again.
Yep.
And Toyota and some occasional BFLs.
I was fishing all the BFLs a few years back. I mean, well, last year and a few years back, but once I joined the invitationals, I mean, I didn't really have time. I was only able to fish, I think, 2 of them this year. So I'll be able to jump in the super tournament and just mess around with that, but I won't be able to make the championship because I didn't get to fish enough of them. But yeah, I like fishing the BFLs, the Toyota series. I might try to get into the Northern trend this coming up year, see how the sponsorship goes and everything plays out. But yeah, I definitely want to get my hands back into it. And it's too bad that invitationals are already over, man. It seemed like it went by real quick. I mean, it was there. I mean, we had one every month, so I mean, within 5 months, 6 months, you're already done for the year. And it's too bad we don't have a championship this year, but that's the way it goes. And hopefully they can figure that out next year. And I'm ready to get back at it for sure.
Have you looked into dabbling in anything like the NPFL or anything like that, or some other type of tour or trail?
Right. I mean, I have definitely looked into that trail. It's just hit or miss. Like they had something go wrong, I guess, the last year, and they were trying to get a bunch of people in this year, but they weren't able to fill the field, and they're still paying out $100,000 for first place. So it's pretty insane. I mean, I've definitely wouldn't mind jumping into something like that myself either. I mean, you see John Cox and all them, Patrick Walters, they're doing like 3-4 different series. I mean, they're running from place to place to place to place. I mean, they don't get a break all year. So I got a family and everything, so I don't know if I'd be able to do all that that much tournament fishing. But I fish as much as I can. That's for sure.
I seen a thing guys were talking about John Cox, actually, because they're like, if there's any angler on planet Earth that can juggle tournaments and go from like ramp to like literally pack up and leave and go to another tournament for another trail and fish it the next day, if there's any angler that could do it, it's John Cox. And I remember hearing a story Greg Hackney was saying, and they were like, "Yeah, so what do you do? Like, do you do any ice fishing?" He's like, "No, I'm gonna be at a tree stand." I'm not. He's like, "There's a certain point. I love fishing. Don't get me wrong, but I ain't I can't hunt them 12 months of the year or something like that." But I would like, I don't know. The NPFL is interesting. I don't know if they would accept me, but that'd be something. Definitely be something to consider.
Right.
Because the
like
payouts are good. They pay down,
Yeah, they pay
40,
down pretty good.
40.
And then everybody gets to fish 3 days. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool deal how they don't have any cuts or anything. So you can make a good comeback. I mean, if you really put your time in and had a really good day the third day if you were behind in the pack. Then you're guaranteed to fish all 3 days. So it's not like you fish 2 days, you're like, oh man, I found something out the last part of the second day, and then you can't fish anymore. You actually have another day to go out there and capitalize on that and actually move up spots. So,
Yeah. Have you ever considered now that the opens are broken up? Well, not broken up, but they broke up, like Bass broke up a lot of things between like how to qualify for regionals, etc. But how they constructed this 9-tournament trail with the opens, trying to make it like a AAA league essentially. Do you ever consider the opens?
Yeah, I mean, I fished the opens for probably 4 years before they switched it all over. I fished them, and then all of a sudden they switched to when they had the whole Eastern Conference. So we were driving up to New York and doing all that stuff. And then the year I stopped fishing them, they went back to the 3, and I was like, oh man, well, I would have loved to do that. But then I was already in the Toyota Series, I already committed to that. And then now they switched to the whole 9 tournaments, which, I mean, you gotta have a lot of sponsorship and to travel around for nine different tournaments all year. They spread them out pretty good throughout the year. So, I mean, if you don't have some good sponsorships getting you through those, I mean, it's going to be really tough. Even just, you got to make top 10 just to get your money back for one of those tournaments. I mean, just with travel and gas and everything these days, it's so high. So, I mean, you really got to put your work in to get going. But I've always wanted to fish the Elite Series. I mean, who doesn't? So, I mean, if there's ever a chance in my life to do that, I might do that. But right now I'm riding the train with the MLF, and I've had a great year this first year, and hopefully we can keep the ball rolling, and we'll see what happens.
I brought it up before on a couple episodes because I was waitlisted for a few years, and then they did this, and it's like, there's no way I can do 9. Yeah. Like and then a lot of people, there's a lot of gossip when that initially came out, and everybody's like, oh, well, if you can't do all 9, you weren't gonna do them to begin with, or something, And I'm not throwing shots at anybody.
No, of course not.
There's only a handful of people that said this, but it's like I see where you're coming from as me being a competitor and doing these things, but when you're waitlisted several years in a row, and then now they change it where it's like now it's unattainable. Like for me, it's like kind of like, okay, it's out the window. And I'm like, MLF is the best game in town for me, for my location, anyways. Because I got 2 great trails, the Toyotas and the BFLs. Like I got Pathway to the All-American, hence the podcast, and then Pathway to what used to be the Force World Cup, the Toyota Championship. Exactly. So you got 2 good carrots ahead of me, and this year, unfortunately, I had to back out due to technical difficulties out of St. Lawrence, but that was out of my control. It wasn't meant to be.
Of course.
So next year. But the BFLs, I'm still in the running. So hopefully I'll be crush them at St. Lawrence in a couple weeks, and then be down on the Potomac for the championship.
Yeah, man. Well, I wish you the best of luck, man. I hope you put it all together and make that glory trip, man. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, man. This is my opinion. I mean, you're somebody who's fished a ton of tournaments. Yeah. For years, I would say, in order of prestigiousness, if that's even a word, Classic, Cup, All-American, like 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Like the third most prestigious tournament you could possibly fish in this bass fishing world
For sure.
we live in, the All-American. And that's attainable by anybody. Like, literally, you don't have to be a touring pro to try to obtain that. You don't have to. You could be a rookie. You could be a novice, an intermediate angler. You have a pathway to that tournament without having to go through a million hoops. And that's one thing I really appreciate MLF keeping when they acquired FLW, because a lot of guys were sour with the whole Toyota deal. Like, there was no more Forest World Cup. They won the Toyota championship, or the Toyota, the AOI points, or whatever it was that could have got them to the cup, and that now they competed and spent all their hard-earned money to make it to a tournament that no longer exists.
Exactly.
So I know a lot of guys were sour, but you got, like, I know, and this ain't just me riding with MLF through this.
Yeah.
I think it's like a great thing that they kept a lot of the structure intact for the for us, for the anglers.
You give a chance for the lower tier anglers to get to that higher level. I mean, it's definitely plays a big part in everything. I mean, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to go just straight for the Toyota series and Opens, stuff like that. I mean, I like how they kept the BFLs around and they separated it, and it definitely helps out a lot of the anglers. And like I said, you can make to the All-American. That's pretty high up there, definitely.
Well, one thing I don't like, but it doesn't apply to me, so I really have no say in it, really. But you could speak on it if you want. If you don't, I don't care. Because it might be a touchy subject to some of your peers, but you got the BFLs, Toyotas, Invitationals, BPT.
Right.
The fact that there's, like, the Invitational guys are competing against the BPT guys, to me, that's, like, not right, because it, like, not even in a sense of, like, because I'd want to compete against the best anglers I can. I've been competing against Brian Schmidt for 5 years. I know what it's like competing against hammers. Even Paul Mueller on a local level, and now Alex Weatherall, shout out to both of them up at Champlain right now. But all three of them, actually, not both of them. But I'm kind of like, that's not right, like, to have the Bass Pro Tour guys competing against the Invitational guys. And not even just from a stance of competition, but from a stance of, like, I'm not throwing shots, but, like, you have a Skeet Reese or somebody, like, the camera's on him over somebody who's like a rookie or a year or two in on the Invitationals.
Yeah, they're going to favor.
Like, it's just gonna. So that might hurt people's sponsorship opportunities, people's exposure that they should be getting. A lot of overshadowing going on, which is, like, it's earned. Skeet or somebody or whoever in these top tier, legends. Exactly. It's definitely earned to have that notoriety, but
but it would be nice for them to give us younger guys a shot at it, and the rookies and everything. I mean, if you're in doing good in that top 10, you usually get a camera guy or something like that with you. But for the most part, usually when they start off tournaments, they're with their top dogs for sure. Or their local hammers that know that they're going to catch them at. So they won't see that action.
No, but it's still, I'm just saying, from an overall business perspective, I think it does a lot of the guys an injustice, and it might not be looked that way, but after having, talked to so many guys and me being around a lot of these guys that are in the industry, it's like a common thing, like, people realize, but nobody wants to look at the elephant in the room type of thing, and it's kind of just continuing. And it's like, it'd be cool if the Invitationals were just the Invitationals and a pathway to the Bass Pro Tour. Like, make it be what it was supposed to be to begin with, because I don't know, that's just my 2 cents. And also, me talking from a fan standpoint, because I'm a fan of the sport. I watch the elites, I watch the Invitationals, I watch the weigh-ins, and I'm infatuated with, fishing bass fishing culture. You know, it's like something I think the invitationals would be more appreciated too if
I mean, that's another thing. I mean, you had to be in the top 8 to make the Bass Pro Tour through the whole year in points. But you also have the guys fishing the Bass Pro Tour that take those spots away from you because they don't call down. If somebody, they can double qualify, triple qualify, whatever they do. I mean, they don't call down. So if they do good within the year and fish that whole year, then there was like a couple of them this year that took spots from people. But it's the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah. One of them being our buddy Gray Buck.
Yeah.
Huge congratulations to him. He was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, he's one hard-working kid, man.
He is, man. He puts his time in. He's there first thing in the morning, and he'll be back. I'll be back taking a nap, and he'll be coming back when it gets dark outside. I mean, he definitely puts his time in, that's for sure. I mean, he wants it bad, and I'm glad he made it this year.
There's plenty of times I've fished against him when I was like at launch, and I'm thinking I'm going to be the first boat at the ramp. His truck's already parked. I can't even see anything. Like, it's pitch black out. He's already out there halfway to his first spot. And then I get back, like, sun's going down, 12, 13-hour day. He's still out there. That kid runs. He knows. If anybody deserved that shot, it was him. Like, I got to hats off to him. He's one of the hardest working people.
He is, man. He's such a great guy, too. He just missed it, I think, last year that he fished the Pro Tour. I think he said he missed it by like 7 points or something like that, or 7 spots. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I know he was really wanting it, and he checked out. I think he got a check in every single one of these invitationals besides the Potomac River. And we were talking about that. He's like, that's the one that I really had most confidence in that I was going to catch him. He struggled his butt off the first day and had a good comeback that saved his year for sure the second day. So, but yeah, man, I'm super proud that he's going to be fishing the Bass Pro Tour, and I know he's gonna make those guys work for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's like me too with the All-American thing. Like last year, I was really close, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. I don't know if you know the story, but long story short, day 1, I was in like 21st place or something. Day 2, I had to wait in the bucket to get put in the 7th place for day 3 because the top 12 fish day 3 at the championship. Top 6 go to All-American.
Right.
I was right there, and we had like crazy fog delays day 1 and 2. So, and I made a 45-minute run. You ever fish at James?
Yeah, I fished it one year in Open.
So I ran to the chick, and like it's a hike, and with the fog delay plus the run,
that's a hike.
I only fished for a couple hours.
Right. So
day 3, I had a ton of spots like ready to go that were untouched, and I had a mechanical issue on the way back to weigh in. Nobody stopped. I'm trying to flag some boats down. Nobody stopped to take my fish in my co.
No, man.
I'm on the phone with the tournament director, waving my hands.
Right.
Couple boats going by. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Then one guy stops. He's like, yo, I'm last flight. And he's like, I'm not going to make it. We only got 15 minutes. We're like a half hour away. I'm like, no.
That's the worst feeling.
Yeah, because I was like first or second flight. I had to be back like real early. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was that sucked, and I was like so close because I'm like, even if I didn't make it to All-American, I at least would have been on day 3.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Shot. And it sucks.
It was terrible. We've all had those days. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, though. I mean, you can go out there and have one of the best days of your life, and then something breaks down on the boat, and you don't have time to get back, or nobody brings your fish back, can't get a hold of somebody, and that'll definitely gets in your head, and it stinks that's the way it goes sometimes. But yeah, it definitely happens to the best of us.
I called one of my buddies that was he was a co-angler competing, and he's like, we went north, and I'm like, wait, we went north? And I'm like, they went to like Richmond or something. I'm like, okay. And I was like, all right,
you don't hear that
so you can't help me. I was like, but you gotta come go get my truck and come pick me up at this state park in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Oh man. But
Yeah, that's where I went. I went all the way down to Chickahominy or wherever it is. It's definitely a long ways away, but that's where it's usually won at. So you gotta take your chances.
that run is better than the run to Clayton.
Oh
So
yeah,
you've
right.
never been to St. Lawrence. I made the run to Cape Vincent from, well, actually, no, not Messina, because the Bass regionals were out of Waddington. So, but still, from Waddington to Cape Vincent was is worse than the Chickahominy run.
No kidding. Yeah. Oh, I can
So
imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
even with
There's
all the
people.
barge
You gotta
trips and
stop and get
everything
gas.
else.
All that. No thanks.
Yeah, man, let's wrap it up. I appreciate you,
Okay.
Eric, for coming on.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get to run into each other, get touch base at the Potomac event. Is there any sponsors or anybody, excuse me, any sponsors or anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, I'd give a shout out to a couple of my sponsors. Urban Carry Holsters, man, they're a great company. Go check them out. Black Label Marine over in Ocala. They actually have 3 different locations. They have one in Clearwater, Punta Gorda, and Ocala. And they carry the Camus boats, bass boats that I run this year. Couldn't be happier with that boat this year. It hasn't given me any problems. Super smooth riding boat. Man, I just want to say thanks for having me on, Dave. I appreciate it. And good luck to you this year. And hopefully, if you're ever down in Florida, man, give me a call and we'll go tear him up for sure.
Definitely gonna have to. And my cousin
Yeah.
moved down there. He's down in Boynton Beach.
Okay,
So I'm
yeah,
gonna
I
have to
got
take him.
family down there.
Yeah, man. And you just said Ocala for your sponsor, Steph. If you're watching, the missus, she just has some friends move to Ocala. So
Oh,
maybe
there
that
you go.
might be on our. Maybe Florida might have to go on our
That's right.
destination list for relocating.
Most definitely. There you go.
Oh man, she gonna give it to me later.
That's right, of course. You're like, what were you saying again? Oh, man. All good, man. I appreciate you having me on, Dave. Thanks again, buddy.
Well, thanks, brother. I'll touch base with you soon. Thank you, buddy.
All right, man. Sounds good. Have a good one. Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.